Hello and welcome to Reviews. As always, I'm Plume Noir, and I was actually going to review this at the lab because I worked a double today. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to come home, and I just wanted to get home as soon as possible. And this is a book I've been kind of looking forward to with a little bit of hesitation. If you've watched my videos, you know I love the Fantastic Four. I love them, and yeah, I love every character. And Invisible Woman is awesome. In fact, if you've played Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the first one, you know that if you power her up, she is so OP. You can just breeze through the game. She is awesome in the game. And it's one of those things that it's said that she is, the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. When you use her powers, when you write them properly, she is a force to be reckoned with. So, I love this character. That being said, I was really worried about this because it is written by Mark Waid. Excuse me. And Mark Waid, as you know, he's written a great many things. I've said before, I'm a huge fan of his Flash run. You can go with Kingdom Come. He did some great stuff on JLA. I mean, in the day, he was fantastic. Current day Mark Waid, not so much. So I was a little bit worried about this. Um, so before I go into that, I just got to start off. We get this cover. This is an Adam Hughes cover, whom I love. I love Adam Hughes' work. He's one of my favorite artists, and I don't think I ever told that story about Adam Hughes, and maybe I should sometime. Maybe I'll just tell it now. It's not really that long of a story, but um, back in the early 90s, Adam Hughes, I think his first real big work was when he landed the Justice League gig. He picked up somewhere in the early 30s of, pretty much what was the JLI run. It was Justice League, JLI for a while, and I think it went back to Justice League America. But pretty much what they call the Bwahaha era, which is actually my favorite era of Justice League because it is so different. Regardless, I was reading the book at the time, and his first issue, I fell in love with his art. Became a huge fan immediately. And so it just so happened that right around the time after he took over Justice League, he actually came to the Motor City Comic Con, which at the time was still being held in Dearborn, and it was a really kind of a small place, not like it is now. And so I went there to meet a few people, to get a few signatures. And at the time, I had my art and writing portfolio. I was still trying to, get some contacts and land a gig. And might have been at that convention that I got my only paid writing thing, and it was for a story that was never published. I ended up getting a kill fee. It was right around that time, at least, but that's neither here nor there. I'm getting very off topic. Anyway, as I was going through, seeing a few artists, I saw Adam Hughes. And he was sitting, at his booth, and there was no one coming up to him. And so as I made my way over to him, I figured, okay, well, a line will eventually start. And no one ever came there. No one ever showed up. And so I'm like, okay, well, fine. I went and had, a couple things signed. I think he had a couple issues out at that time. And, I got to talking to him. And we talked a little bit about drawing. Gave me a few hints. He showed me the kind of mechanical pencils he uses. And I was like, oh, okay, well, if it's good enough for Adam Hughes, I went out and bought the same kind, to be honest. It was like he preferred the .7 millimeter, and, the particular brand, I went out and bought them. And it turned out I didn't really like the way they felt in my hand, because if you've ever seen me write, I hold my pen funny. But anyway, my big story to this, which isn't really much of a story, because I'm not even talking about the comic here, I'm talking about Adam Hughes. I sat and talked with him for about a half hour. And yeah, my cats are scratching at stuff here. Um, and to me, I was late teens, and like I said, I'm not the type of person that's a fanboy. Why are my cats scratching? Why are they doing this? They've been quiet until I started filming. Um, so sorry about that. He should stop in a minute. Um, and I was in my late teens, and I'm not the type of person to fanboy. And I've met a few famous people, never ever, got all, oh, I'm so happy to meet you. That's not the type of person I am. Hi, Butters. But with Adam Hughes, I, uh, I got to, sit and talk with him, and we ended up just shooting the breeze for about a half hour. And, here I was, this nobody kid, and, he's a published creator, and we just, at first, like I said, we talked about different writing, drawing techniques, and eventually we just kind of hung out talking. And I'm going to be honest, I'm usually pretty good at picking up when people, just are kind of humoring you. But he wasn't. He was, maybe it was just boredom. No one else was coming to see him. But, he made a big impression that still sticks with me, decades later. And I have a lot of respect for him for that, which is why I always get pissed off when you see these other creators on Twitter that talk down to their fans. And, they don't realize just talk to them like a person, and you can have a fan for life. And yeah, I have the utmost respect for Adam Hughes. He made a big impression on, teenage Plume. So anyway, yeah, I will check out anything he draws. So anyway, that's enough of me gushing on Adam Hughes. I love this cover. It's I don't normally like the as I call them, the trading card poses, but I give a little bit of a pass since it is Adam Hughes. Also, this is actually a pretty cool demonstration of her powers. It's kind of hard to show, Invisible Woman. They always do just kind of the fading out. You got all the bubbles of the force field. It's a striking cover. The blue and the white, it really stands out. Her costume fading. I like the cover. So about the issue, Mark Waid. I I like this issue. I was just as surprised. Um, it starts off. I can probably go through this just a little bit. It starts out with 10 years ago. Um, see, Mark Waid actually did write some Fantastic Four, and it was actually pretty good. But that was also a while ago, before Mark Waid became the Mark Waid of today. And it's been that Sue Storm ended up working for Shield shortly after the Fantastic Four got their powers, because remember, Reed Richards and Ben Grimm stole an experimental rocket and took a couple kids on it. Sue Storm wasn't that old, and Johnny Storm was a teenager. I mean, that's a huge deal. They should be in prison. But to kind of make amends for it, Sue Storm, at the time she was Sue Storm, not Richards. She she agreed to work for Shield, and this is a time. This takes place 10 years ago, and my cats are still scratching at something. Jesus. She could turn invisible, but she didn't quite have her force field powers yet. I mean, she had them, but they weren't as good as they are now. Um, so she's working with Shield to basically sneak a scientist out of where is it at? Yeah, Hungry Border here, and so as she's working with her contact with the CIA, things go awry. And they end up basically getting caught, and they have to make a run for it. And there's a really cool thing here, because it's snowing. Even though she can turn invisible, it's still giving them away, because when the snow is landing, it's kind of landing on them, and the people can't quite make out what exactly they are, but they can kind of see the outline. It's a nice giveaway, a nice reminder that, yeah, just because you can turn invisible doesn't mean that you'll no other way to detect you. So this was a clever thing. Um, so yeah, this guy here that she's working with ends up saving her life, because Sue Storm does not want to kill. That's her main rule, and she finds ways to not do it, such as turning the guy's gun invisible. He cannot shoot what he can't see. Us, his gun. Oh yeah, maybe it's just confusion. Not sure if this is the drunk guy or not, but it, if I had a gun in my hand, I could probably still figure out where the barrel is and still shoot. I just have to shoot a little bit blind. But anyway, they end up escaping, and they rescue the scientist. And we got classic Nick Fury here, not Sam Jackson Nick Fury. Um, so it goes back to the present day, and here she is changing out of her clothes before the present day. We get this great picture here. Um, and we get basically a reintroduction to her character, what she is to each member of her family. And that's what the Fantastic Four is. The Fantastic Four is, above all else, a family. And yeah, it kind of goes through her day. And she ends up, Comics 1000, she ends up getting a call. The person that saved her life back when they saved the scientist has been captured, and he only gets out one word, which is Stormy, which is what he called Sue Storm. That was her last name, and they were hoping that it may mean something to her, but as far as she knows, it's just her nickname. What he called her. So she agrees that she'll help them, but they say no. You're not going to help. We can't have this turn into an international incident. And one interesting thing, she wants to help. She wants to save the guy who saved her life, and they won't give her any more information. So she does something interesting here, where with nothing to go on, we can't help him. Tintreach, it's too risky. Do not even think about interfering, Mrs. Richards. Are we clear? And she says, crystal clear. It's a joke, but she takes the folder off the guy's desk. We got a shot of it somewhere. She takes the folder and just stuffs it into the back of her shirt. She can turn things invisible, and as you can see, it's kind of transparent here. So she's turned it invisible and stuffed it into her shirt. She could hold it in her hand and still be invisible. It just looks like, I guess you can see the paper clip there. I'd be too worried about it slipping out and papers falling out and invisible papers making a crash on the ground. So it's just a little thing that caught my eye. But anyway, I'm going to stop it there because I guess that's why I told my Adam Hughes story was I don't want to really spoil too much of this. Current Nick Fury, the Sam Jackson Nick Fury, tries to stop her. He makes the effort, but he was going to let her go anyway. And the adventure begins, and she's going to go out and try and rescue this guy. This issue is good. I expected this to be garbage. After yesterday's Naomi and this, I figured I was going to have two bad comics in a row. That's why I just wanted to come home and not do this at the lab. But this was good. And I actually looked up this artist. Was that Mattia de Ayulis? I totally butchered that, so apologies. The art in this book is good. And when you have someone that can turn invisible, it really helps to have a good artist. Because it's not always what you draw, it's what you're not drawing, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's like jazz. Drawing the Invisible Woman is like jazz. We get some great snow effects here. And not just the art there, but also, look at that page. It's the coloring. Who's doing the coloring? Just this artist got a dog barking. Maybe this Mattia is coloring it as well. I looked him up. I think it's a he. I'm pretty sure it's a he. And it looks like he's only really done Jessica Jones. I didn't read that. But this is good. Look at the scenes here. Like with the sun effects, the light, going through the trees. Granted, this can be done pretty easily in, whatever art program you want to use. I've done it in paint.net, to be honest. But it looks good. You got a good artist with good coloring, and it really makes it pop. And it has a good feel for the different scenes here. Here we are in the office, illuminating from the window. When he closes the blinds, it's good. It's an interesting story with a character who, like I said, this is Sue Storm. She's the, member of the first family of the Marvel Universe. She is the Marvel Universe's, mom, team mom. She's the original MILF. The whole thing. She's a great character. And like I said, this is me being a fanboy of the Fantastic Four. And this issue could have been, I was so worried about it, but it is good. It is really, really good. And it's not insulting to her character, it stays true. Mark Waid has a good feel. Like I said, he's written Fantastic Four before. There's no, social justice politics being put in here. This is just, you know, we see the original mission and now what's spurring her to action. It's good. And like I said, we have that bit in the middle where it's kind of a introduction to her, kind of a reminder, and yeah, the art's good, the writing's good. I was trying to find something bad. If I had something bad, I don't like the logo. I don't know if she's ever had her own logo. I can't think of one off the top of my head. And if you look really closely, you can see the hairstyle, that kind of bob hairstyle she had when she first appeared. This almost looks like it was taken right from a page, that silhouette. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the logo, to be honest, but that's such a minor quibble that I just was looking for something bad. And that's about the worst I could find on it. Um, 12 o'clock. I don't remember the last time I gave Mark Waid a 12 o'clock. And this artist, I like him. Pretty sure it's a him. Hope it's a him. I don't know the name. So apologies if it's not, but good book. I highly recommend this book. So yeah, that about covers it. I was expecting something bad or something mediocre, and it was good. I'm so shocked by this. It's so pleasant because these days the best I can hope for is average. Where hey, well, I didn't hate it, but to actually pick up a book and I'm like, this is good. I'm liking this. I'm turning the pages and like, even the pages where she's talking about, with Ben Grimm and Reed and everything, where, these relationships, but, not a lot of time is spent on them. You pretty much get the less than 2 pages, really. It's like, okay, this is a reminder to the people, and she loves her coffee. So, I mean, yeah, I can't drink caffeine anymore, so I miss a good cup of caffeinated coffee. So I feel you. I feel you, Sue. Anyway, that's all I got. Get it. Get this book. Get it. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.